magnificent. For that package coming to Ferran Torres! 2-0! City run riot. 2 goals in the space of 2 minutes. Ferran Torres this time, who finds the net. Another swift attack from City, and Ferran Torres, who's been excellent in the opening hour, finds the finish. Sterling bears down on goal and makes amends for his earlier miss. 1-0 to Manchester City just before the quarter-hour mark. It's Sterling on the break. One of the best assist providers in world football sets up Sterling. It's a good finish past Guaita to make it 1-0 to Manchester City at Selhurst Park.
Here's Yaya Toure. Toure looking for Edin Dzeko! And that is the perfect start for Manchester City, who are sending out a resounding message here. The title chase is on!
But it's a beauty of a ball from Yaya Toure, who's just given the time and space to pick his spot here. But such is the quality of the ball. He's the strong favourite. He never looked like missing it, did he, Dzeko? What a start for City.
Palace supporters behind Speroni's goal. He went the right way, but the sheer pace of the shot beat Speroni. Speroni conceding his 13th goal of the Premiership season.
Falling the wall for Crystal Palace. Toure. Oh, it's magnificent! Another Yaya Toure special. Deep into stoppage time. He must quite like playing against Crystal Palace. Yaya Toure. Beautiful free kick.
Hello and welcome to Matchday Live, and welcome to Selhurst Park. Today, Manchester City look to secure a 3rd consecutive Premier League win right here at a ground where we have a pretty good track record. In fact, we haven't lost here since 2015, winning 5 out of our last 7 matches. Stay tuned, because I'll be joined by some of our fantastic fans, as well as getting the thoughts of Michael Brown. Very soon we'll be crossing back over to Manchester, where Natalie is joined in the studio by a few special guests. But first, let's recap what happened last time out.
Crystal Palace deserve a lot of attention. So the quality they have up front is unbelievable. So you have to, pay attention. A small pitch with the crowd.
I think Pep will want to try to go there and control the crowd by controlling the game.
Bernardo Silva, 2-0! Bernardo Silva with a wonderful, wonderful finish!
It will be a difficult game against Crystal Palace. Obviously, you've got Zaha, you've got Eze and 1 or 2 others. There is that atmosphere.
Wilfried Zaha, the one-time Manchester United player, scores against Manchester City.
Tough one, but we need to go there and get a win. We're very capable of that.
Ladies and gentlemen, Haaland has his first City match ball. It will not be his last. The strength, the composure, the finish.
You've got, if you want to win the Premier League, you've got to go to them places and get results.
Guardiola's side will be after all 3 points in tonight's contest. It's Manchester City away to Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park.
Crystal Palace blew the title race wide open by holding leaders Manchester City to a goalless draw at Selhurst Park back in 21-22 season. But it was Liverpool who City were aiming to beat to the title last year. Since then, it is another team in red we find ourselves in a hunt for the Premier League title, with Arteta's Arsenal side continuing to keep the gap at 5 points above City in the league. Palace find themselves in the same sort of form from last season's encounter, coming into this match the same as they did then, sitting halfway down the table in 12th position. You can see our team arriving at Selhurst Park. Kick-off is 5:30 today in the Premier League. Hello and a big welcome to Matchday Live today. I'm Natalie Pike and I'm joined in the studio by a defensive partnership. We're all about the defenders today. It's Nedum Onuoha and Steve Howey. Welcome to both of you. Lovely to see you both again.
Yeah, and you
Good
too.
afternoon.
Good to be here.
You well, Nedum?
Very, very good. Sensational, some might say.
Sensational.
How about you?
Yes, I'm good. You know, no City this week has felt a little bit weird, Steve.
It has, yeah. I mean, I think just with this, for me personally anyway, just with the games, with City kind of going a good period of time without having this game, it just, for that reason, feels a little bit weird, but playing a little bit later as well on a Saturday. I'm looking forward to this, but I do think it's going to be a tricky game.
Oh, I hope not, Nedum. We'd like a nice, easy afternoon.
Listen, that's what every fan wants, but very rarely does it happen. But I'm sure they'll be all right today.
Right, you know by now, Matchday Live is the first place to get your team news ahead of all of City's games. I'm going to give you the second that I'm allowed. Am I allowed? Am I allowed?
Close. It's close.
Am I allowed? See, this is what we do on Matchday Live. We keep everybody waiting till the second, Nedum.
Yeah.
You've got to watch, haven't you, though, to find out this is the place.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's only 50 seconds left before you can reveal that all-important side.
15 seconds.
50 seconds.
50.
Well, it was 50, but now I think it's 45. There you go.
Well, the timekeeper.
Yeah.
No, he knows everything.
Sorry, I'm the gatekeeper of it all. I apologise.
Nedum, will you let me know when I'm allowed?
Yeah, most certainly will, yeah. And I'll
Lovely.
give you a little bit of leeway, so...
Do you know what? I'm going to go.
You going to go now?
Yeah, I'm going to do it.
Go for it.
You sure?
Yeah, of course. I'm sure no one's watching.
Right, here's your team news ahead of today's 5:30 kickoff against Crystal Palace. Your City team in goal is Ederson. And then it's Stones, Akanji, Diaz and Ake. And then you've got Rodri, Silva, captain Ilkay Gundogan, Foden, Grealish and Haaland. Your subs bench for today is Ortega, Walker, Phillips, Laporte, De Bruyne, Alvarez, Mahrez, Palmer and Lewis. So that is your City team for today's game. Gents, immediately for me, Nedum, Kevin De Bruyne on the bench. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I don't like to see him on the bench as such, but I do also like to see Gundogan and Bernardo Silva playing. So, you know, I'm trapped in this sort of position where I'm both happy and sad at the same time. And he's great, you know, he's a fantastic player, one of the best in the world, has been for many years. But I'm sure there's going to be some sort of reason behind it. And if he does need to be called upon, I'm sure it'll be fantastic again. But that side that City put out, it's another great side. And it's a shame to see those guys on the bench, but the starting 11 is still very, very strong.
Why do you like the Gundogan-Silva partnership? What about it is it that you particularly happy to see?
For me, it's just a nice balance, you know. But it's not to say that Kevin isn't part of that, because he very much is. But I think there was a point, I was probably lent into it more a couple of seasons ago, when Kevin was out for a little while, and I think City went on like a 9-10 game win streak, and it was with Bernardo and Gundogan playing alongside Rodri. And the way they would sort of control the games, the timing of when to go forward, when to come back, you know, it was magnificent. So at times when Kevin's not there, maybe the ceiling drops down a little bit because he's so good, but it drops you down to a point where you've just got like elite footballers, football IQs through the roof, technical ability through the roof, in-game understanding again, like incredible. So, as I say, I'd love to see him play, but then it's Bernardo Silva, Ilkay Gundogan. They've done a pretty good job for City, you could say, over the years.
Yeah, of course. In the Newcastle game last weekend, Steve, Kevin De Bruyne came off and Bernardo Silva came on, and then he made an impact literally within minutes.
Yeah, I mean, he gets the goal and it's the ball comes to him and he hits it so quickly the defenders can't react to that, and neither can the goalkeeper. Obviously, for me, that, well, clearly it puts the game to bed. Because Newcastle, they had chances, they had two really good chances, but obviously the goal that he scored, Actually, I think Newcastle give it away. And then Grealish bursts into the box. It's just a lovely little flick on, touch, finish. Goalkeeper, no chance. The defender coming round the full-back, he hasn't got a chance to get across either. It's a fantastic finish.
Yeah, so the Newcastle give it away there. Is that Nathan? It was Nathan Ake there. Nathan Ake, again, having an incredible season. Then Jack Grealish driving towards them. And we need to talk about Jack Grealish in a minute. But first of all, Nathan, that finish by Bernardo.
Yeah, it's class. Like, that first touch was just sort of take it away from the defenders. Like, if someone's taking a shot in your box, you want to believe that you can get close to them. But the way he manipulated the ball there, didn't even give anybody a chance. And then the finish as well. Most people think everything has to be perfect. You have to be set in terms of what you're doing. But it's class. Like, finishing itself, I think, is literally, it's just putting the ball into a net, and that's basically what he did there. Sometimes he can look really nice in a build-up, say, I'm going to hit the valve and so on and so forth. But he just took a touch and just sent it to his home. And what a big moment that was, because just before, Newcastle were very much in the ascendancy, and it felt like something was going to happen. But then instead, big players step up in big moments, and he definitely did that in the game and basically killed it from that point.
Newcastle, just before that goal, had a very big chance. It was Joelinton. The ball's like across the 6-yard box, and he misses it. But I think on this one, as I said, you can definitely see Ake getting involved and you see Jack Grealish. But I don't think you can underestimate Haaland's little touch and awareness of what's behind him. Because he's clearly had a look before the ball's actually arrived and he's just quickly helped it on. Silva does the rest.
Yeah, I loved the celebrations after it as well. The passion, just how they all got together, the celebrations in that goal I absolutely loved. So the goal you mentioned involved Jack Grealish and involved Erling Haaland. Jack Grealish, Nedum, has been named Etihad Player of the Month for February. Brilliant. I loved the video that was going on social media. I don't know if you saw it. They had a clip of him last year saying
he was going to win that one, yeah.
Loved that.
That's nice, yeah.
In terms of Jack Grealish's evolution at City since he came, do you think we're in the period now with him where we know where he best plays for us? He's now a pivotal part of the team. Or how do you see the way he's grown into the role?
I think he's very much a different player now to say he was, say, earlier in the season and earlier last year as well. I think he fully understands his role, understands how he works within the side. And, you know, he's reached a point where people fully get what he's doing. You know, there are times where he'll receive the ball under pressure and you know he's not going to lose it. There are times when, say, he's like under pressure there, but he's going to find a way out because his ball security is so good. Wins free kicks in the right areas. He's very, very direct when he needs to be. But then he also tracks back and defends well because there have been numerous times, and they won't get credit whatsoever, but the numerous times where City are a bit stretched and he's sprinting back in and he's stopping someone. The game I remember in particular was the way to Arsenal. Was the point where Saka was bombing down the side and he was sprinting all the way back and he defended the situation really well. Like they say, he's a master of that. And the free kicks people can get frustrated about, but it's ball security. You know, he's very, very good at that. And as well, from an attacking standpoint, he very much wants to take a step forward. There's no sort of like chance to take a step back if the opportunity is not there. And yeah, I think he's been exceptional, been one of City's best players over the past few weeks, which says a lot when this is arguably their best spell in the whole season.
Just talk to me a minute about the this.
Which bit of it?
All of it. Haaland and Ruben getting involved. That just looks like team spirit to me.
That's what the manager mentioned, something about Rico Lewis when he felt as though he was kind of getting picked on a little bit, and none of the City players came around to actually sort of protect their teammate. I mean, I was going to call him Alfie there, but Erling Haaland obviously runs from a good distance to protect Jack. And I mean that last foul. That's what Jack is absolutely brilliant at, because he just gets in front and he does put that leg out to get the contact. So he's clever, but I do feel at times though he does need a bit more protection, because we'd seen a foul just before that one, and Trippier's got no intention of going for the ball. He just blocks him, and I can't understand what Dan Burns kind of moaning about here. He clearly doesn't get the ball. Jack's very clever in what he does, and you, as a manager and as a team, you love seeing that. I think we'd mentioned, because when we were doing the game, I think I'd sort of said at that time, you love that, you know, because that's everybody together. That's everybody on the same page.
I love it. I look at it and I just immediately think that's team spirit. That is a group of players that are sticking up and fighting for each other. I also think Erling Haaland appeared to be on a massive wind-up as well. You see the smirk at the end
I think he was on a wind-up at the end when he realised, like, Dan Burns the only player on the field bigger than him. You know what I mean? Haaland's enormous, and I was like, oh, right, no worries, yeah. But it's good. I know what you're saying, and I do like it. I do like it when people come together to try and stick up for each other. Yeah. And Dan Burns was frustrated because the game was kind of leaving them. And I think with Jack as well, what he's the master of you're sort of dangling the ball out there to make you think you can get to it. Okay. So then when you don't and a free kick's given against you, it's actually very, very frustrating. And I think that's just Dan Burn, you know, trying to let out his emotions. But, you know, you're at the Etihad, mate, and you've got a lot of City players around you, so it's not the right time.
He does remain one of the most foul players in the Premier League. You know, it's something that Jack is almost known for now. So you're saying there about perhaps he's knowing that it's going to be difficult for them to get the ball. But how are you, as a defender, how would the both of you defend against Jack Grealish?
Do you want to go first?
It's difficult. It is difficult. I think you've got to, when the ball comes to him, you've got to shut him down instantly. Because if he turns, because on that last one with Dan Burn, he kind of comes inside and he's just touching it and touching it and touching it and touching it. You can't let him do that. You've got to really engage him as quickly as possible. And that's before he even gets turned. Just try and force him back. Once he's kind of turned on you, even when you're trying to force him back, he'll go back and he'll run back with the ball, and then he can either go left or right because he's got great control with both feet. And then when he's turned and he's kind of facing the way that he wants to face, you've got a problem because he's very good. If either one of us were just trying to have a nibble, he would actually put his leg across your leg. He'll take the hit, go down, and that is so frustrating as a defender.
I think that's right, and I think the point he hits on there is about applying the pressure to him because, you know, in some ways you take him going backwards, but if you step off him and he's now coming forwards, as we mentioned before, he's like the master of just dangling the ball out there enough to make you think you can bite on it, because there are times when it's just out there and, you know, you decide not to, and people shout, get to him, get to him, get to him. But that's his ploy to get you to dive in, and he's either going to win a free kick or he's going to go past you. So one thing you try and do is make him predictable. Or, sorry, not predictable as in sort of like a negative way, but say try and force him backwards, and you do that by applying more pressure. But the downside is, for the way City are, for the moment he goes backwards and plays it to someone, he's off again. And if you think your job's done after he's played it off, that's when you get into trouble, because you can get drawn into thinking it's an individual battle with this guy. But then all of a sudden, Bernardo Silva's standing behind you in the space that you've left behind because you've gone and pressed the full distance. So this is the unfortunate nature of playing Man City when they're at their fluid best.
Yeah, I mean, in that Newcastle game as well, we've already seen the Bernardo goal. Of course, the first goal comes from Phil Foden. So you look over, you can see Bernardo Silva. You look over, then you've got Phil Foden. Phil Foden, who is getting back to his very best, Steve. And I mean that very respectfully, because he set himself some incredibly high standards. I think everybody in the stadium was thrilled when he scored this goal. I mean, and what a goal as well, Steve.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's just ridiculously good, close control. Again, as a defender, as the midfield players for Newcastle coming back, they're terrified to touch him. Just the first touch. And there was a couple of times when the ball's being cross-field, his first touch is absolutely excellent. But the pace that he shows, that touch just past Guimaraes is absolutely superb. But what he does really well is he stops and then goes. Yeah. And as a defender, you stop, and when he goes, you react, but he's gone. Yeah. You're wasting your time. You're not going to catch him. So you, as a defender, I'm thinking, mates, you know, lads, help us out, bail us out, bail us out. I think it's on target. You know, the goalkeeper might have saved it, might not have, but he definitely deserved that little bit of luck. Yeah.
And he's so important to the team, especially at this kind of business end of the season, as you like, Nedum. You know, we've got the Champions League midweek, we've got the FA Cup next week, and we need him back to this best, don't we?
Yeah, of course, yeah. You know, he's not just one of the best players in the Premier League, he's one of the best players in the world. And I think when you have somebody playing to that sort of level, it's such a bonus to have, because he could be a match winner in any particular moment, because most of the people he match up against, he'll be favoured in that. It doesn't mean he's going to score or going to assist or whatever, but a front foot version of Phil Foden is a huge asset. And when you add that alongside like a Mahrez that's playing well, alongside a Grealish that's playing well, you know, you can know that whatever the combination is in any particular game is going to work. But if it's not working, you can bring on and make a change. And to go back to that Phil Foden goal as well, another thing that was missing, obviously his technique's amazing in terms of how he scored it, but you see the run from Kevin De Bruyne as soon as he received it. As soon as Phil gets the ball to his feet, De Bruyne has gone past, which takes away Joe Linton, which creates the space for Phil to be able to drive into. You know, there are lots of little things like that, and that's people just being in harmony together, because on a different day, say he gets the ball and he plays it to Kevin who gets the cross in, but in this moment, you know, you never, as the opposition, you never know what they're going to do. And for Phil, he took advantage of that space, and just what a player, incredible.
And used that space to his absolute advantage, yes. Thank you so much. So today we sent RLs down to Selhurst Park. She's going to be speaking to a variety of people, but she's starting off, she's found our official London Supporters Club.
Thank you, Nat. And I am joined now by some fans who haven't had to travel far because they are part of the London Official Supporters Club. It's Liz, Joyce and Madassa. So, guys, firstly, explain to me how many members there are, what events do you hold throughout the season, things like that.
I'm not sure how many members there are, but I do know that it's the oldest city supporters club in the country, and it's been around since 1966, so that's a long time. It must be thousands of members now, I would say so.
Amazing. And if you could pinpoint one of your favourite away games, what would you say, Madassa?
Oh, favourite away game? It was Arsenal last month, because we were under pressure, we had to win, and we done it, so that was one of my favourite games in recent years.
Amazing. And Joyce, how long have you been a part of the Official Supporters Club for?
Three years now, something like that, and obviously I get a bit of a lucky student discount with mine, so as I'm like 20, so just about get away with it, but yeah.
I love that, and we are here at Selhurst Park today. How are we all feeling ahead of the match? What is Selhurst Park like to watch as an away game?
I'm always fearing the worst, because I've been a City fan for a very long time. I was actually here when Steven Gerrard fell down, which was really one of the great afternoons, I should say. I always feel like, if we can just sneak a win, that would be great, but I never expect it because, that City-itis thing is very real, and it never really goes away.
Amazing. We do have a pretty good track record here. We haven't lost since 2015. Obviously, a few draws in there. But, Madassa, what are you thinking ahead of the match today?
I think we need to score early, score quick, keep a clean sheet. In the evening, the under the lights, the fans just get on top of the players as well. So we just need to keep our discipline and just really score early and have the Champions League in mind as well.
Amazing. I'm going to ask all of you for a score prediction before we go. So take it away.
2-0.
2-0.
Oh, I would never. I can't. I just can't. No, I could never. I'll predict a draw because I'd like to win.
Okay. Pleasantly surprise yourself. And a win, yeah?
3-1, Man City, easily.
3-1. Okay, amazing. Well, thank you all. I hope you have a lovely day here at Selhurst Park. Back to you now.
So for more information on our official supporters clubs, we love our supporters clubs. If you want to join a branch, find out if there is a branch close to you, which I'm sure there is. They are all around the world now. You just need to get yourself onto mancity.com. And I know that you've visited loads in your time as well, haven't you, Nedum?
Yes, it's 20 deep so far and more to come.
Really?
Yes, I've been all around this region and I'll continue to travel, yeah.
I suppose you just need to see if they can start sending you to the ones around the world as well. That'd be nice.
Listen, anything's possible.
Do you find that the supporters clubs are genuinely really passionate, hardcore fans?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's City a very easy side to support from a distance, but a lot of the people you see at the supporters clubs, they've been there through thick and thin, the good, the bad, and they'll continue to be that. You can see when you arrive that, the club is a huge part of their identity. And they've been going to the supporters club for years. Some people are new, some people have been going for 10, 20, 30, 40 years maybe. So it's good to just be in a space with like-minded individuals. And I think that's the upside of, say, potentially joining a supporters club if you can.
There we go. To find out more about our supporters club, mancity.com. Now, as always, we'd love you to send in your WhatsApp questions. Get them in and ask Nedum and Steve anything that you would like. The number is on your screen now. I'll get through some of them later in the show, hopefully, and half-time and full-time as well. So get those WhatsApp questions in now. And also, don't forget, the best place, the only place to get your commentary for this game is on the Manchester City app with the wonderful Alistair Mann and Michael Brown. If you're not watching on the app, get that downloaded now so you can get your commentary. So we've had the City starting 11 for today. Let's get the Palace starting 11. So in goal, it's Gaeta, Klein, Gay, Anderson, Mitchell, Lokonga, Milivojevic, Schlupp, Ayew, Zaha, Elise. That is your Palace starting 11 for today's game. So, first of all, something to mention, Nedum. Czech Doucouré was sent off in their game last week against Villa, so he misses this game. I mean, how important is he to them? How good is that for us that he's not playing?
Yeah, it is good. And I think for Palace, a side that have been struggling for, winning form recently, it's a shame for them because I think it's a signing this season that's done well for them overall. And I think bringing in Milivojevic he's a good player and he's been there for a very long time, but he doesn't necessarily have the sort of dynamism that, say, the other players got. So I think that is a blow. I think they're losing some legs in the midfield, and I think if City start to move the ball around well and they are really dynamic, then I think it becomes a flaw. But in Milivojevic, here's a player who's been there for a long time. He's their captain, he's their leader, very good at set pieces, very good at penalties. So I think for them, he'll understand the task, but there's probably been a reason why he's not essentially been one of the first names on the team sheet throughout the season, but we'll have to see.
I just think with him as well, Milivojevic, he is one of these where he can be like the talisman. As Nedum said, he's the captain, he takes the penalties and stuff like that. There's just that bit about them that he can cross the line at times and he can get sent off, he can lose his head, which is, listen, you can have a captain who players do look up to as an example or stuff like that, but maybe that's why sometimes, because Patrick Vieira is looking for results, he can't risk at times somebody can lose the plot and get sent off because it's difficult for them to get results without trying to get them with 10 men. So it'll be interesting to see how he actually gets on today.
Well, let's hope no penalties today. Also, let's hope no shots on target, because they had no shots on target when they played Villa last week. And I find that crazy because, I mean, Zaha is such a talented player. What do you think's going on, Steve, that the club can have no shots on target?
Well, it's not a good stat. And I think the manager will be very frustrated about that. I mean, when you look at Crystal Palace, obviously the atmosphere at Selhurst Park at times is absolutely superb. You see the flags open, it's intense, it's a close ground. I think night games, you do get a different vibe, actually, than kind of a Saturday afternoon or just a Sunday afternoon game. But for me, the manager, and if I was a supporter, I'd be very frustrated because you look at the team and individually, they've got some good players. And you look at them individually going forward and they've got some players that can cause you damage. But unfortunately, haven't been able to do that. Obviously, Zaha's the main man. They'll be looking to EU to maybe get a goal or something today. But for me, sometimes they look very easily kind of put off. All of a sudden, they're just feeling as though we're not going to get anything today, and then you'll see Zaha kind of huffing and puffing a little bit, and it doesn't look great. But I think if City apply themselves correctly, which I'm absolutely sure that they will do, I cannot really see there being anything in them for Palace.
I think it'll be interesting as well. I think we'll get an idea of how they want to play based on who plays through the middle, because I think at times Ayew would play on the right side if they had a number 9 that was playing. So if you're looking at Zaha, is he going to be the one that plays through the middle? And if that's the case, then you lose some of his dribbling ability, but have somebody who's going to stretch the game in behind. And also, you know, I'm going to bring out my defensive hat here, as in defending footballers. A shot on target, yeah, it's obviously very, very important. But if you block 10 shots in a game, the other team doesn't have a shot on target. So some of those blocks, like someone could be a yard out, say blocking a shot with their chest and whatever. So it doesn't mean you've not had the good attempts, just the opposition have kind of kept them out. So it does play into your mind a little bit. But what's the difference between, say, a game where you could have, say, 3-4 shots cleared nearly off the line versus one where you have a shot from 40 yards out, which the keeper just picks up and just carries off, and that counts as a shot on target? You know what I mean?
So
but
don't
you create
judge your
opportunities?
team just by their stats.
I think a good point of that as well, sorry, Nedum, was the fact that if you noticed Nathan Ake last week, he had 2 unbelievable blocks. But obviously that's not on target. But if you didn't watch the game, you think, oh, Newcastle only had X, Y or Z shots at target, when ultimately, which he's right, it was brilliant defending.
Yes, you can tell there's 2 defenders.
So you're right, it's good
today.
sometimes to back us up.
Yeah, exactly.
It's always the forwards, it's always the midfield players.
Exactly, always.
Never the defenders.
Always.
The Defenders Union is out in force today. Palace are on a very poor run at the minute, Nedum. They've actually not won a Premier League game this year. You've got to go back to the end of last year. I think it's 9 now without a win in the Premier League. They're sitting in 12th, just 5 points above the relegation zone. I mean, it's super tight down there. But God, does that mean what we expect a team that's going to fight today?
Yeah, of course, especially when you're playing at home. You know, if your team's not doing so well and you're playing at home, all the fans are turning up to try and see you sort of address this issue that you have. And I think in this game here, they understand they're going to be a significant underdog. So you almost take on the role of that. You know, you defend very, very tough. You sort of try and give them reasons to be excited from set pieces, the way that you're going to be driving forward with the ball. Like, I think it's no surprise that they've got Ayew, Elise and Zaha. They're 3 really good ball carriers in their side. So they're going to be the sort of like escape route for their team when they're defending for long periods. So I think that they will obviously go with a fight, but there's a sense of disappointment, as I'm sure we'll hear in another part of this this build-up for the game, where some fans are also quite disappointed because they've not scored the amount of goals that they would like to. But the way football goes, you know, if you get things right, 1 is the number that you need sometimes. And I think they've got enough players out there to potentially do that. But it's going to take a monumental defensive effort, which is something which I imagine a side that's not won in 9 or 10 would be thinking about doing, especially at home against a side as good as Man City.
Yeah, they just scored 21 goals. I was just looking in the Premier League this season. Wolves are on 19, Everton 20. Apart from that, they're the third lowest in the league.
Goals make a difference, huh?
Yeah, of course. In terms of their manager, Steve, of course, we know him pretty well here, Patrick Vieira. He played here. He managed New York City, obviously one of our sister clubs for a period of time as well. There's been talk in the past about him perhaps being a successor to Pep, much like people talk about Mikel Arteta now, of course, as well. What do you make of the job that he's done at Palace?
I think he's done a decent job. I think it's a difficult job. I think being a manager is a difficult job. Obviously, he's got vast experience as a player. He'll obviously be trying to pass that on to players. As a manager, you can understand managers getting frustrated when they've worked so hard with the players through the week and then all of a sudden it's completely undone because somebody switched off. But yeah, I mean, listen, they've spoke about him possibly being manager, going on to bigger and better things and stuff like that. But people will be looking to see, well, how does he get the best out of his players, his Crystal Palace players, when the maybe's not doing so well? How does he rejuvenate them? How does he turn them around? How does he get them sort of picking up good results between now and the end of the season? And I think if he does that, then people will look at him and think, well, look, there's a manager that is still relatively new, let's be honest, in the managerial role. He was in a difficult period and he's just completely retransformed the team. So, you know, you wish him all the best. You really do. I've played against him a good few times. Very tough, tenacious person. Tough, tenacious character, and you hope he can be a success there, but let's hope it doesn't start today.
Yeah. Yes, of course. Not quite 2 years at Palace as well, joined them in July 2021. Do you agree with Steve, Nedum? Do you think Palace have made a lot of progress under him?
Yeah, they have, yeah. I think when you think about how they needed to change after Roy Hodgson, where the team was definitely set in the way that he wanted to play, I think whoever came in next, was going to be a monumental task to get them to do anything differently. But I think, especially during parts of last season, he very much got the team to do that. And I think he does have ideas of how he wants the team to go and how the club to go. But, you know, with a bit of inside information, I think his hands are semi-tied with certain things that we'd like to change because there's a level of continuity that has to exist at football clubs. You know, most managers think they want to start fresh, but it's very hard to do that. But I think if he does manage to keep the job for longer, I think we'll see, again, the next stage of the development of the football club going forward. But I think overall, you know, they've played some good football at times. They've got some exciting players, say the front three in particular, like an Eze on the bench as well. You know, he's been such a huge talent for them. And you can see that Palace are different today to what they were under Roy Hodgson. I think for any manager, that's ultimately going to be key, isn't it? Can you coach your players to play the way that you want? And, you know, they've not won in a while, but they're not getting a ton of defeats within that. And I think being hard to beat in the Premier League is always a good foundation. Yes, then if you can then score a few more goals, you turn some of those sort of draws into wins. And before you know it, they could be in the same position, say, Brentford and Fulham and so on are in, where they're just finding ways to score the goals, whereas for Palace, they haven't managed to do that just yet.
We can see the players there at Selhurst Park warming up ahead of the game. A 5:30 kick-off this evening in the Premier League. We've sent RLs to Crystal Palace today to see who she can find to speak to. She's only managed to grab Michael Brown to get his thoughts ahead of today's game.
I'm joined pitchside by Michael Brown. We're going to talk about team news. So let's talk City first. Anything that stands out for you?
I think notably straight away when we're looking in the middle of the pitch, no Kevin De Bruyne and the return of John Stones. So we're looking forward to seeing John Stones come back. Will that be in a right-back position? He allows him, obviously, to go into that midfield area, make the extra one with Rodri that Pep Guardiola likes to do. But Bernardo Silva makes them sort of 2-8s with Ilkay Gundogan.
Definitely, and he made a great impact against Newcastle last weekend. 2 minutes after coming on, he managed to score. So
he's got that, hasn't he? When you put him in a more advanced position as well, when he is allowed to get forward, whether it be in wider areas or central areas, I just think he's really, really infectious. He's a player you'd certainly want in your team. Very, very unselfish, and hopefully a big performance from him today.
Definitely. Well, let's look at Palace, because they are without Doucouré this week after a red card. Any standouts on their team?
Well, you're wondering who was going to come in. Hughes was mentioned. in, but it's the experience of Milivojevic coming back into that midfield three. Lokonga's going to support as well as in probably in an 8, just ahead of Milivojevic with Jeffrey Slupp. He's got great talent, great ability, so that makes 3 in the middle for them. But you're still looking, if John Stones comes in, they'll be thinking we're slightly outnumbered. Wilfried Zaha looks like he's going to play in that number 9 position. Ayew on the left-hand side, so lots to think about. It'll be a real interesting challenge in the middle of the pitch in those key areas, but it's a very difficult place to come here.
Definitely, and they are without 9 wins in the Premier League, without a win this calendar year. So do you think that will make an impact today?
Well, the pressure's on Patrick Vieira, someone obviously we know well at Manchester City. He'll be looking to try and improve with his side. He's had obviously some good improvements since he'd been here, but a real decline in results. Some good young players coming through. The atmosphere is going to have to be great for them to get a result. They're struggling to score. Let's hope that continues.
Yeah, hopefully. So finally, let's do a score prediction then. What do you think, Michael?
I'm under pressure. I'm hoping they continue to struggle to score, and 3-0 to Manchester City. Slightly ambitious, but I'd certainly take that right now.
Definitely. Well, thank you, Michael. And back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks there to Els and to Michael Brown, who are pitchside at Selhurst Park. Michael Brown, of course, will be on your commentary team today alongside Alistair Mann. The best place to get your commentary for every Manchester City game, of course, is the City app. Thank you for sending in your WhatsApp questions. The number is on your screen, so you can keep those questions coming in. We have a couple to start with for our guests today. The first one is from Mark, and it says, Big Ned. That's how it starts.
OK.
So that's a decent start. You happy with that?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if I know Mark, but yeah.
Being a local Manc like you, I'm from Collyhurst. What was the actual feeling like when you pulled on that City shirt for the first ever time and walked out onto the pitch?
That's a good question, because looking back now, say I took a lot of joy in putting on the City shirt when I was in the academy, you know, because that was my link to the first team. That was my link to guys like Steve, and being a ball boy as well. I remember being in the tunnel at Main Road, watching everybody going by, and thinking this is really exciting. As all the noise, you see them walking through the tunnel, the noise of entering the arena, it's incredible. And I obviously didn't have that moment, but then when I was playing on the weekend, I was wearing the same shirt, trying to do the same thing. So that was great. But then that first feeling of playing at the Etihad, the place where, you know, I was there for the first game when we played against Barcelona. And I saw all those games. I saw them playing against TNS and the like throughout that sort of first European run. It was amazing to just go to the stadium in general. Like, I even ran on the track before it got converted to a football stadium. And then all of a sudden, I'm in a squad, and as well as being in a squad, I'm playing a game, and I'm walking out, and it's like, this is it now. This is just normal. This is just how it's going to be. It was truly surreal. Never got used to it. I didn't get used to it for a good while, because especially when you start, you never know how long it's going to last for. But the feeling was amazing. To be able to turn up there and know that people coming to watch you, getting a chance to play alongside people who have watched for many years, is a truly incredible feeling. And the start of a football career playing for the team that you loved was absolutely amazing.
When I do my pitch-side stuff on home games at the Etihad and I stand next to the pitch, never, ever loses the excitement and the shine and the just being there on the pitch. Did you find that?
Yeah, for sure. And because of the media work that I do now, you see a different perspective to it all. And you get to hear more fans and really see what it means to them, like every little action in the game. And then you see it. And, you know, I tend to downplay my career and so on and so forth, but I played for 16 years and I played in the Premier League and I played on that field. And I played against some of the best players in the world. And I'm now picturing what it looked like for me to be watching myself in that instance. Like, what a job being a footballer is. You know, it's absolutely amazing. And to have the support and to be able to play for the team that you care about so dearly, like, it checks every box that for millions of people will never be checked. So it was special for sure.
No need to downplay it on this show, Nate.
No, that's why I'm here, you know what I mean? There we go.
Thank you, Mark. That was a fab, brilliant question. We've got Hugo, who's asked, do you both think if Erling Haaland will beat Shearer and Cole's record, given his recent form?
I'll let you lead the way on this.
I think, obviously, it's the longevity. I think if you look at Harry Kane and the amount of years that he's put in, and he's kind of getting close to the Shearer goal-scoring record, I think he was it 260 goals?
His question's about this season.
Is it this season?
Oh, is it this season?
It's probably the season goal, because Andy Cole's not the top three, is he? Because it's Kane, Rooney and Shearer for the overall.
So what's the amount of goals what's the record for the goals in a season?
I think it's Mo Salah is on 32 in a season with 38 games.
Oh.
I think if Shearer and Cole got more in a season when it had
maybe when it was 42 games.
Right. I still think he'll do it.
Yeah.
Just purely because he's totally focused. I mean, all goal scorers are the same. You know, you play with centre forwards, really good centre forwards, and I have. Their main focus is just score goals. I mean, sometimes I've played with forwards that come off and we've won, but they haven't scored and they're upset. But actually, sometimes there's been times when we've gotten beat, but they've scored and they've been pretty pleased because they've scored. That's just centre forwards at times. Yeah. But given this Manchester City team and the creative players that you've got, I think he'll do it because I do feel as though Kevin De Bruyne and one or two others look for him. And sometimes maybe he's detrimental because there's other options. But yeah, I mean, he's just basically a goal machine.
So yes, it was 34 goals that they both got in a season, but that was in a season where it was a 42 game season.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah, 42 game season. Salah's done 32 in a 38 game season.
So to get to Salah, he needs to score 5 in the next 12 games.
Is he on 30? Yeah.
27. He's on, isn't he? Yeah. So
two did he then?
Yeah. So for me, I think he can. I think he can do it, and I hope that he does do it. But I hope he doesn't completely shatter it, because then it means that there'll be ridiculously unrealistic expectations going into every season.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, the Premier League is a very, very tough league to be in. And when he was scoring hat-tricks galore in the first half of the season, people saying, "Oh, he's going to score 50, he's going to do this, going to do that." Like, he's not, because for as good as he is, there are you play against other professionals, and especially in the second half of the season, everyone's got something to play for. I mean, you look at Liverpool win last week against Man United and then lose to Bournemouth. Well, Bournemouth, every game is their biggest game of the season between now and the end, because they want their survival. So nothing is given. So as a consequence, like for Erling, if he's going to break the record, it's going to be tough. He's going to sweat it out. But I think he's capable, because I think City will score a ton of goals between now and the end.
I think you're absolutely spot on as well, because if I'm playing against the top forward, I'm going to do my utmost to make sure that I've marked him out the game. He doesn't score because I don't want him to get the better of me, because you're looking around and you're seeing him. Well, he's done it to him. He's done it to him. He's done it to him. He's not. So you do have that massive amount of pride to think, well, he's not doing it to me.
Yeah.
So he does find it very, very difficult, because players, for instance, Lascelles the other week, I didn't think Lascelles would be able to handle him. But Lascelles, to be fair to him, did really well against him. So he's got that, Erling Haaland's got that problem every week.
Yeah.
Of course, he got a hat-trick last time we played Palace at home. So hopefully he does that today, and then Matt might start getting even closer and closer to that total there. So we've been keeping Els busy today at Palace. She's already spoken to Michael Brown. She's already spoken to an official supporters club as well. Well, she's managed to find a Palace fan and a City fan, and she's going to compete them against each other.
Thanks, Nat. Well, I would say we're at the Lion's Den, but we are at Crystal Palace. So let's say we're at the Eagle's Nest. Yeah. That works, doesn't it? I'm joined by Tristan, who runs his own YouTube channel for Palace fans. Let's briefly talk about how Palace's season has gone so far for you.
Well, it's been a bit of a disappointing season, you know. We're not scoring many goals. You know, we haven't been as good as we were last season and that. And the football's just been really just awful, really poor, and just diabolical to watch. You know, it's just been a real disappointment. You know, I feel like we lost our spark a bit within the club, and it's just getting worse and worse. You know, we've got 1 win in 14, 9 games without a win, haven't won a game in 2023 in all competitions. I think it's doom and gloom for us, and I'm really just nervous for today. I've got no hope today at all, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, I'm really worried, really concerned.
So if you could pick one player then that maybe City should look out for on the pitch, who would you say at the moment?
Oh, it's got to be Wilfried Zaha. Best player by far for the last 5 years. He's kept us in the Premier League. He's our top scorer with 6 goals. He's always got that magic to pull us out of the hat when we need to, so they've got to keep him quiet. But, I mean, if they can do that, then you lot will definitely give us a good spanking today, I reckon, yeah.
OK. Well, let's put your Palace knowledge to the test. I do have a quiz, but I need help, because it's going to be City versus Palace. So we have one of the official supporters club. Whoever wants to come in, and we're going to do Palace v City quiz time. How are you both feeling?
Not confident, ever.
Well, you might surprise yourself today. Are you ready?
Yeah.
We're going to start with Palace. So question number 1 is, who is Palace's top scorer in the Premier League this season?
It's Wilfried Zaha.
you know, how many goals? This isn't for a bonus point, but
6 goals.
that is correct. 2 points. No, I'm going to give you 1 point. You are in the lead. City's question: how many Premier League goals does Erling Haaland have this season?
Isn't it 27? That sounds like a ridiculous number, but I think it is, isn't it?
It's correct. It does sound like a ridiculous number, but, you know, he's an amazing player. Palace's question: Palace are winless in how many Premier League games?
9. I think it's 9. Yeah.
You said it a minute ago in that. Yeah, it's definitely 9. Be confident. That's another point for Palace. Right, City's question. Who is City's second highest goal scorer in the Premier League this season?
Is it Mahrez? No, it's not, is it? Everything you've said means you're going to win today. You do realise that. Winless in 9, obviously going to win today.
It is actually Phil Foden now with 9 goals because he's been in good form the past 2 games. Right, Palace's question, and this could secure your win here today. Right, when was Palace's last Premier League win over City at home?
I was in 2015 when Glenn Murray scored and Punch scored the free kick. We beat you lot 2-1.
Wow, flying colours. You passed. You are the #1 fan at Palace. Yeah, we'll take the win for today. Right, well, that is it for our City versus Palace quiz. Back to you, Nat, in the studio.
All right, Tristan.
Tristan knows it all.
Very
He was
good.
stuffed, didn't he? Yeah. Wow.
Tristan's on the stats there. Well, hopefully that's the only win that Palace get today. And indeed, hopefully City get another clean sheet today and Edison can make it 101 because he finally got that 100 clean sheets. Hey, we've been talking about that for a little while. I was so happy for him last week, Nedum. 100. What a great milestone.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. And yeah, you know, we did speak about it for a little bit, but just that 100 clean sheets, I'm not sure I had that many in my entire career, to be honest. You know what I mean? But fair play to him. And is it in like 200, just low 200 games as well?
Something like that.
Yeah, that's so impressive. I think some people, you know, they've been critical of him in recent times and so on and so forth. But that, to be at a club long enough to get 100 clean sheets and to have had real big moments along the way, you know, fair play to him. He's such a good keeper, such a winner for the team. And as well, it's his availability that really makes a big difference as well. He's always out there, desperate to play. And yeah, credit, 100 clean sheets is stunning. Obviously, there must have been 2 or 3 more that have done it, but definitely not in the time that he's done it, which is just absolutely spectacular.
But defenders have helped him.
If it wasn't for the defenders,
Union's back.
it's always about the defenders. When we cleared those ones off the line,
At least we must have at least helped him get about 70 of those sheets.
I'm thinking 80, maybe 85. But he's done a job for 15. Fair play to him.
It's mad in terms of City's defensive displays this year because I feel like we've conceded a few soft goals this year. But when you look at actually how many goals we have conceded, Steve, it's only 25. That's the same as Arsenal. The only club that have conceded less than us this season is Newcastle. So defensively, when you look at the number of goals conceded, it's a good defensive season.
It is, yeah. I mean, also as well, if you think about it, the City defenders... certainly if you're playing the 3 at the back or the 5, they're bombing on. And there's times when you will get caught on the counter-attack, and sometimes it just takes that little split second of switching off. And because it's the Premier League and because you're playing against top strikers and top players week in, week out, that slightest little mistake can cost you. Playing the Championship, maybe it's not as much. But when you're playing in the most elite league in the world, in my opinion, you will get caught if you do switch off. But I think as well, there's been 1 or 2 injuries with the squad defensively. So whilst we've had a couple of mainstay players, the managers decided sometimes to change it around. And I think as defenders, I like playing week in, week out with my central defensive partner, and the central defensive partner likes to play with his left back or his right back because then you get a real good understanding. There has been times that shifted about at City.
Yeah, we've seen images there of John Stones. He's back now. He's obviously been out injured for a little while, Nedum. But I mean, incredible player. Great time in the season again to get him back fully fit. A fully fit squad, Nedum.
Yeah, it's definitely getting there. It's definitely getting there, and it is great. But it's like Steve was saying, you want to play week in, week out, and unfortunately, City's not the place for that. But then also there have been players who've been unavailable at certain points through the season, because you could say credit that being one of the reasons why Emmanuel Akanji's here, who's had an incredible season, but he came in at a point where, you know, the depth wasn't there in that position. And now all of a sudden when everyone's back, at some point you're disappointed because you've seen some really good players. Essentially, you know, City have got 4 centre-backs out there today. You know, when it was Tony Pulis doing it, it's like it was a disgrace. But for City, because they're such good footballers, it's fine. You know, and there are just ways to get them out, and it's nice. It's a safety. It's a little comfort blanket because those guys are so good at what they do. And fair play to them. The 25 goals conceded, like, I think because you look at it from a blue persuasion, every time City concede, it's almost like a shock to the system. But every team throughout the country is conceding, and we don't see the goals in the same sort of respect. Like, think about every time City score, the other team, they're thinking we could have done better there. And that's the same for City from the other perspective when they concede. But the fact is, as you've said, it's the second best defensive record in the Premier League, but still people want to sort of look down their nose at City. They're finding ways to keep clean sheets when they need to make last-ditch blocks when they need to. And more importantly, why does everyone always get so tight when a goalkeeper makes a save? Like, why do we have a goalkeeper at all? Just stand back there and just make money doing nothing. Like, that's like the goalies train every day to be able to save a shot.
So and he can use his hands as well.
Exactly, you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, like, Edison having to make saves, you should expect that, because as Steve said, it's one of the best leagues in the world, if not the best league in the world, and everybody's capable of scoring. So you have to be at your best to limit the chance of the other team scoring. But every team has an opportunity, not least of all when you play away from home, and they almost have to be more on the front foot because their home fans are there.
You mentioned blocks a minute ago, and it makes me think back again. You mentioned the Nathan Ake blocks a little bit earlier on, how important they were, how important he's been as a player this season. He is, I'm going to just say, he's in my top 3 players for the whole season.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Agreed?
Yeah, I'm with that.
Like, from where he's come from for the last 2 years, I just think it's an incredible example as well to young players as well. He's kept his head down, he's trained hard, he's kept working hard, and then when he got his chance, Steve, he took it.
He's been absolutely brilliant because, as you rightly sort of said, obviously a big money move from Bournemouth, and then he must have been thinking, what's going on, because he wasn't kind of involved. But it just goes to show, there was never in doubt, but it just goes to show, the stuff that I hear, apparently he's an absolutely fantastic guy. I've never met him, but the professional of him must have been unbelievable, because it's soul-destroying when you train so hard week in, week out, and you might get the odd game here and there, whether it's, you know, the cup competitions or something like that. Then you might play a game in the Premier League, and then you feel as though you're out again for another 6-7 games. But you're right, he's been absolutely superb this season. I'm so pleased for him, because he has done what you would expect a top pro to do, which he is. Get his head down, work hard, and when he's had his chance, he's certainly grabbed it with both hands. He's been superb.
And to add to it, you know, sometimes we sort of speak of him like he's just a youngster coming through the academy, like he's a full Dutch international. You know, he's doing just fine, and, you know, fair play to him, because at the start of the season, the talk was, oh, they're looking to get rid of this, he's going to go to Chelsea, go to this place, and so on and so forth. But he's stayed, and he's like a mainstay within the side now, and, you know, because he's played so well, essentially, and now he's playing so well at left-back, it's almost like you forget that there was the thing with Cancelo where he wasn't playing.
Yeah.
But Nathan Ake's been exceptional so far this season, and long may that continue.
Kept his head down, worked hard, caused no trouble, took his chance when it came.
Yeah, the Dutch international, who would have thought, eh?
The Dutch international, he's also he is a lovely, lovely man. I've had the pleasure of working with him several times, and he's just a pleasure to work with as well, which is always a bonus. Now, of course, as champions of England, we do feel that it is only our obligation to show the rest of the world what the Premier League trophy looks like. Well, currently we've taken it out into America. It's in LA. Now, if we're going to take the trophy to LA, who better to go with it than the little shining star himself, Sean Wright Phillips? So he is at a special screening of the game today at a theatre in LA on, of course, Oscar weekend. We've managed to grab him to have a quick chat.
Sean, what have you been doing in LA, Hollywood, the last few days?
It's been quite interesting and exciting. With some of the stuff we've done here, we obviously got to go through the Paramount Studios, which was amazing to see some of the behind-the-scenes stuff, and we got a tour with the trophy around Universal, which was also awesome, creeping around the back and coming in through certain entrances. So we had a wonderful experiences there, and they got to see, obviously, the trophy, which is the reasons why we're here. But I think my biggest excitement, I would say, of the trip so far was hanging out with the young leaders yesterday for Citizens Giving. I thought what they're doing in East LA is fantastic, and how far it's come in the last 8 years is great to see the kids having fun, learning while they're doing it.
What made you most proud about that project at East LA Rising?
It's the happiness you see and how much work and effort has gone into it. It's not easy to create something like that and keep it going with the longevity. And the kids that were there at the start are there now teaching the younger kids coming through. So you can see it's something that's going to go on for a very long time.
Sean, why is it so important to you to reach out to kids and kind of talk to the next generation of footballers?
I just think in life the next generation is important. It's the generation that's going to be in control of the world that we're all in. So if we can give them as much as the knowledge we have learned, whether it's the good things or the bad things to avoid, it's only going to make the world and them as people a better place.
Okay, I want to back up a little bit to your trip to the Paramount Studio Lot. You got to hold a real Oscar. Now, if you could award an Academy Award, an Oscar, to one of your teammates at City, when you played at City, who would it be and why?
I think if I was going to give one, I would give one to Mika Richards for the best laugh of the whole of the training ground.
So best actor, best supporting actor, best...
Laugh.
Just best laugh.
His laugh is so contagious, I think it would win an Oscar itself.
Yeah, just thinking about it just made you laugh. Now, looking ahead to today's Trophy Tour event at the Ricardo Montalban Theater here in downtown, well, in Hollywood, super historic theater. What does it feel like to see all of these fans lined up from 7:30 in the morning local time?
It's amazing to see. It's also great to see how big the club's getting with his fan base on a global scale. I think when we came through yesterday to do the recce, I was like, wow, this is amazing. I wish I could watch football like this every Saturday in the cinema. So I think it's something that they're really, really going to enjoy. And when we pulled up, there was a long queue already outside. Obviously, nobody wants to miss the pre-game warm-ups and wants to be inside for the whistle.
What's the coolest part of this venue?
I don't think they've seen it yet, but if you go upstairs, there's a 360 with the trophy in the little room for the fans and stuff to really enjoy themselves with.
Yeah, and for the folks watching in England, this is right on the Walk of Fame, and so when you walked in, we actually had a Wright Phillips star for you to walk over.
To be quite honest, I saw it, but I tried to pay no attention until you pulled me back to have a look at it properly. As people know, I'm quite a laid-back and chilled person, so I just kind of get on with things.
Okay, looking to today's match at Crystal Palace, what do you make of the lineup? What are the strengths?
The strengths are the defence is very, very solid, as you can see. Ake has been outstanding. It's fantastic to see John Stones back in, and you know what you get with the midfield already. But when you got Foden back in, he's on superb form. He scored, I think, 2 in the last 2 or 2 in the last 3. So he's flying, and you got Grealish, who for me at the minute is the man of the moment. And Haaland, the big man, says it all himself. Just give him a chance and he will take them. But it's going to be a very difficult game at Selhurst. They never make it easy for us. So we have to bring our A game and hopefully we get off to a flying start.
So Sean Wright-Phillips is out in LA on the Premier League Trophy Tour. I love you, Sean. You're a star. Now, these two may or may not have been laughing throughout that.
That's actual size, by the way.
Am I going to out you, or do you just want to say what you were saying?
It's just, listen, I'm happy to say it. You?
Oh, I'm happy to say it, yeah.
Okay.
We're just concerned about his height going to these theme parks because, you know, there is a limit, isn't there? So ultimately, I guess he's just on the teacups over in LA, isn't he? But as I said, it's just my opinion. Prove me otherwise.
We hope you've had fun on the teacups, Sean. So he's in LA. The Oscars are taking place in LA this weekend, the 95th Academy Awards. They'll be honouring films that were released in 2022. So do you know what? We thought we'd just take a bit of a left turn, stop talking about football for a second and test these two on their film knowledge.
OK. Right.
They knew nothing about this. You know, you all know by now we don't tell them when we're doing a quiz.
Yeah, why would you, after all? You know what I mean?
Yeah. They wouldn't come on, would they, if they knew? Right, so...
Here we go.
I've got 3 film quotes, and all you've got to do is tell me what the film is. Do you want to play together, or do you want to play against each other?
Together.
OK, do you know what?
Unit, yeah, together.
I've been hiding in here. Ooh, cue cards. Are you ready?
Here we go.
Now, it's been suggested that I should not just say the quotes, that I should do some sort of level of acting off of them.
I think that's only right.
Yeah.
OK, I can't do accents, so I'm not going to do the accents. But, OK, you ready?
Yes.
They may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom!
Is that Braveheart? Braveheart, yeah.
Is that what you're going for?
Yeah.
Is it
not
Braveheart?
according to you, the way you said it. But
I said I'm not doing accents. I'm not doing accents.
It's fine. You'll get an Oscar for that. You won't get an Oscar for that anyway. But yeah, Braveheart.
It is Braveheart.
So these are all things that have won awards or just films in general?
I have no idea.
Let's
I've
go.
no idea.
Go on then.
Let's not get into the details.
Go on then.
Right, they got the first one. It was Braveheart. Did you get it? OK. Oh, we're not doing that one. Do you know what? I'm not doing that one. I ruled it out. It's too hard. OK, you ready?
Go on. Uh-oh.
Is this
Frozen.
the one we're doing? Hold on.
Frozen. This is one of those silent movies.
Oh, that is the one I'm doing. Right, ready? You ready?
Harold Floyd.
Roads? Where we're going. We don't need roads.
I know that one.
What's that one?
Back to the Future.
Are you going for Back to the Future?
Yeah, I'm taking that, yeah.
It is Back to the Future. Well done. And the third one in our competition to see if you are film buffs. You, me, nobody is going to hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you hit and keep moving forward.
It's Sylvester Stallone, isn't it?
So that's Rocky, yeah.
I would have thought Rocky.
Dude, if you do the accent, just try to do the accent.
No, I can't do the accent. Somebody might be massively offended if I try to do the accent.
It's either Rocky or Creed.
OK. Ooh, OK.
Nah, it'll be Rocky. If we're doing Back to the Future, it'll be Rocky, yeah.
Yeah, it's Rocky. 3 out of 3. I like to think it was.
Listen, no, that's the big man. You know what I mean?
It was my delivery, clearly, wasn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for playing along with our little film quiz. Sean Wright Phillips out in LA. Right, we are only a few minutes away now until kick-off. So I'd love to get your final thoughts now, Nedum. How are you feeling? How is this game going to go? Give me your kind of overall feeling.
So my feeling now is how it will be between now and the end of the season, where I don't really enjoy watching the games because there's so much on the line, and it's a sort of sense of anxiety and sort of panic. So I'm hoping for a comfortable game, even though that isn't really a thing that happens come this point of the year. But I think if City start well and they're clinical and get a couple of goals, I think City scoring 2 goals will be the game done in itself, because I don't see Palace scoring a couple. So the hope is that City score multiple goals. I think they're capable. Jack Grealish is in great form, so's Phil Foden. So yeah, I think City will win, and I just hope it's comfortable. But I just can't see it being that way.
Oh, me too. Me too.
Yeah.
Steve, how about you? What's your kind of overall feelings about the game?
It'll be interesting how Palace start. I think they'll want to try and start on the front foot. They will want to try and put City under pressure. I think they might just have to suck that up a little bit. But also, if themselves can be on the front foot, they'll be a little bit nervous, Palace, because the players know the situation about the lack of goals and things like that. So if City managed to get an early goal, you could just see them just wither a little bit, and then it could be a comfortable one. I think City will win anyway.
Where do you think the key battles are going to be?
I think, as always, for me, the battles is all over the pitch. And I think if, John Stones, for instance, who comes in, can he get further up, that releases somebody else, and it has that sort of knock-on effect. How you deal with Zaha, how you deal with Ayew, how the centre-half deals with Haaland. Every little position around the pitch is a battle. And I think the way I look at it, if you win more of them battles individually, then 9 times out of 10 you come out with a victory.
Right, give me your score prediction.
So Michael said 3-0, didn't he? But I'd never like saying a 0, because then your whole prediction go out the window very quickly. But I'm going to
pessimistic.
Not really. So I'm going to say 3-1 to City.
Okay.
So when they're 3-0 up, I know I've still got the comfort of there being another goal and me being right.
Okay.
That's the thing. So I'm going to say 3-1 to City.
3-1 to City. Steve?
I'm actually 2 for 2, so I'm after a hat.
All right.
Are you?
Hey, nobody asked him. You know what I mean?
I'm seeing.
That's all right. Okay.
I'm on flying form. I'm going to go 2-0.
2-0?
Mm-hmm.
OK. I like that.
So you've gone for 2 2-0s in a row?
Yes.
OK. That's very brave of you.
I'm loving the image there. Did you see Ilkay Gundogan bending down talking to the little mascot? Love that. So only a few minutes away now from kickoff. So 3-1 and a 2-0. I would be happy with either, because as Nedum said earlier, I would love to try and enjoy this game, at least a part of the game, not be sat, you know what I'm like,
yeah,
nervous person.
It's a nervous wreck off.
Often sat here watching the game. Nedum Onuoha, thank you so much. And Steve Howey, thank you so much. And thank you all for joining us on Matchday Live today. Shout out to Els, who's down pitch side and who's been all around Selhurst Park today as well. And thank you for joining us. Thank you for indulging our little silly Hollywood game. And Sean Wright Phillips out in LA as well. And we We will, of course, be back at half-time talking about everything that happens in the first 45 minutes, and we'll be back at full-time as well, where hopefully we'll be talking about City closing the gap to Arsenal to just 2 points. As always, the best place for your commentary is the Manchester City app with the wonderful Alistair Mann and brilliant Michael Brown. Enjoy the game, Blues. Fingers crossed it's going to be a nice, easy, happy one. Oh, I've jinxed it now, haven't I? Enjoy the game.
Thank you, Natalie.